Welcome, everyone, to a technical masterclass on what I think is AI's next great frontier, the edge. We're moving beyond the idea of the cloud as this single central brain and into a world where intelligence is everywhere. It's distributed, it's autonomous, and it's happening right at the point of action. And I love this analogy from Edge AI expert Fani Bhushan Alfler. It just perfectly captures the shift we're about to explore. See, it's not about tearing down the skyscraper. It's about learning how to orchestrate it with a whole swarm of these intelligent, autonomous fireflies. And that move to the edge, well, it demands way more than just big picture thinking or low-level coding. I mean, think about the sheer complexity of deploying AI in the real world, on a factory floor with a Wi-Fi spotty, in a retail store with ancient systems, or inside a car with super strict power limits. It's a huge challenge. So it really requires a leader who can wear two hats: the strategist who can see the future, and the executioner who can actually build it in the messy reality of today. Someone who gets both the massive cloud models and the tiny constrained processors. And that dual mindset, that's what we're going to dissect right now. Okay, so let's start by looking at the sheer scale of this new reality. What are the real drivers pushing us to the edge? And, maybe the bigger question is, why is all of this happening right now? Well, first off, just follow the money. The numbers are absolutely staggering. The edge computing market is on track to hit nearly $378 billion by 2028. This is not some niche little market. It's fast becoming a central pillar of our entire digital infrastructure. And what's fueling that market? It's just this explosion of devices. We're talking an estimated 80 billion IoT devices by 2026. Smart sensors, autonomous drones, connected cars. Every single one is a little node, creating data and ready for intelligent action. And this chart just illustrates that trend line perfectly. Look at that curve. It's not just growth, it's an exponential acceleration. We are literally witnessing a fundamental re-architecting of how we compute, moving it away from those centralized data centers and closer to where the data is actually born. So here's the crucial point. This isn't just technology pushing for its own sake. Nope. It's a direct response to real business needs. I mean, you need an autonomous robot to react in milliseconds, right? You just can't afford the latency of a round trip to the cloud. You have to comply with rules like GDPR, which means processing sensitive data locally. And frankly, you have to control those ballooning cloud costs. You can't just send every single byte of data up to the cloud anymore. You've got to filter and process it at the edge. All right, so now that we get the why behind Edge AI, let's talk about the how. Because navigating this new world, it really requires a map. The landscape is a total battleground of competing platforms and ideas. And the path you choose here, it's a massive strategic decision. You can basically frame this whole platform debate around two core philosophies. On one side, you've got the hardware-first titans, think Intel and NVIDIA. They start with incredibly optimized silicon, and then they build these powerful ecosystems up from there. On the other side, you've got the cloud-down approach from the hyperscalers, AWS, Azure, Google, who are basically extending their familiar cloud dashboards all the way out to the edge. Now, what I find really fascinating about this slide is how it visualizes the trade-offs. You see the orange line for hardware first, it spikes way up on performance and openness. You get raw power, you get flexibility. But the blue line for cloud on, that one excels in scalability and ease of development. It's a super smooth experience if you're already in their cloud ecosystem. There's no single best choice here. It's all about matching the platform's strengths to your specific problem. Okay, the strategist has mapped the terrain. Now let's talk execution. This table breaks it down into very practical terms. A hardware-first platform, like NVIDIA Jetson, it's going to give you unbelievable performance for computer vision, but you'd better have people who are deep experts in things like CUDA. A cloud DOM option, like AWS Greengrass, it'll scale like crazy for managing device fleets, but you run a really high risk of vendor lock-in. It's going to be tough to switch providers down the road. And then there are the specialized players, like Wind River, built for those mission-critical systems where failure is just not an option. Because look, choosing a platform is just the first step. The real-world execution is just filled with these invisible barriers. And this chart says it all. The top two hurdles are operational complexity and hardware fragmentation. That is the reality on the ground. Trying to manage a whole bunch of different devices, each with its own hardware, its own software, doing that at scale is incredibly hard. And this is exactly where that executioner's mindset becomes so critical. You can have the most brilliant strategy in the world, but it's totally useless without a clear, repeatable, and scalable plan for deployment. So let's walk through what that actually looks like. So any successful deployment follows this really rigorous MLOps lifecycle, just like you see in this flowchart.
It starts with identifying the workload, then you optimize the model, package it, deploy it, and then you monitor it. It's not a one-time thing, it's a continuous loop. And this disciplined process, this is what separates a little pilot project from a real production-grade system. So for any technical leader out there, mastering this workflow is everything. First, you optimize your model. You shrink it down using tools like OpenVINO or TensorRT without losing too much accuracy. Then you package it all up in a container, something like Docker, so it runs the same way everywhere no matter the hardware. Next, you orchestrate its deployment across your entire fleet using a control plane to handle updates and rollbacks. And finally, you monitor it like a hawk, tracking performance, looking for model drift, and being ready to push secure over-the-air updates at a moment's notice. This whole cycle, this is the engine that makes Edge AI actually work.
And all of this brings us to what's next on the horizon. Yeah, the execution is tough, but the strategic payoff is enormous. Because the endgame isn't about choosing between the cloud skyscraper and the edge fireflies. It's about orchestrating a hybrid future. A future where those massive cloud models do the heavy lifting, like training a self-driving car's perception system, while these hyper-efficient edge models running inside the car itself provide the real-time reactions needed for object detection. This slide just perfectly illustrates that whole interconnected ecosystem. If we look ahead toward 2026, the trend is crystal clear. We're moving from just simple data processing to true on-device intelligence and autonomy. We're talking about small language models running right on your phone so you can have conversational AI without an internet connection. We're talking about federated learning, which lets us train models across tons of devices without ever seeing the sensitive raw data. And we're talking about edge devices becoming proactive agents that can make their own decisions. So what does this all mean for you, for the people who have to actually build this stuff? Well, the takeaway isn't just technical, it's a mandate for leadership. How do you actually build the teams and strategies to win in this incredibly complex, fragmented world? Okay, for the business leaders, the focus has got to be on de-risking the whole strategy. Don't try to boil the ocean here. Start with a small, specific, high-value pilot to prove the ROI. Design your system so you don't get locked into a single vendor. And honestly, most importantly, invest in your people. The talent gap for folks who understand this hybrid world is real, and it is growing every day. And for the builders, all the engineers and product managers out there, the mandate is simple. Embrace that executioner's mindset and master the tool chain. You have to understand that your product isn't just the AI model anymore. It's the entire MLOps pipeline that deploys, monitors, and maintains it. That is how you build solutions that are resilient, that can scale, and that are secure from the get-go. So, we'll leave you with the same question that Penny Affler posed to his own network. What is the single biggest thing holding back wider edge AI adoption? Is it the security risk of all these new endpoints, the difficulty in proving the ROI, the massive talent gap, or is it something else entirely? The answer to that question is what's going to define the next phase of this revolution and honestly shape the future of intelligence itself.